The next thing about clothes, here's another camouflage thing, even though I say I don't like camouflage. I have a bunch of different versions, but this is in my truck all the time or in my motorcycle, and it's because if something breaks down, I need to crawl around on something, they're just a pair of overalls, right? And so what you got is, if you have a dress on or something and you don't want to be walking down the street in a dress, overalls are super, super easy to toss on. They're super cheap. And this one's synthetic, and a bunch of different companies make them. Coveralls, the same thing. You know, you can get them dirty, you can tear them up, they're gonna stay on. It's hard for other people to get them off if they're messing with you. And they're super mobile, and they go on really quickly, but 25 bucks for always having something in your car that you can walk away in, versus having, that way. I see what a lot of people do is they take their old pants and they put them in their car, and then all of a sudden they decide they want to wear their pants because they spilled something on their dress. Well, now they wear them and they don't put them back in their car, and then they have a flat tire and they're trying to change a flat tire in a nice dress or a nice pair of slacks. And if you have coveralls and you need to walk away, you're never going to wear that out. It's not going to happen. So I put something in there that I'm not going to wear in public. I'm not going to wear that in public. No, that's not going to happen. So I make sure I have something in my car that I can work on my car in or walk away in that I wouldn't normally take out of my truck or motorcycle. I keep this, you can get these at any Army Navy surplus store. It's just a big giant bug net tarp, and they cost 15 bucks. And if I have to, if I am driving and it's super hot out and my car breaks down and I put this up, it keeps the sun off. It's 10, 15 degrees cooler on the ground with this over than it is with this not over. And it keeps the bugs off of you. So if you make a little shelter for your family and then you put a tarp over the top of that, 2 feet off of that, then what you have is something that's 20 to 30 degrees cooler right here in this little space that's protecting them from bugs. And this costs 15 bucks and 10 bucks for a good tarp, a smart tarp. It'll keep it. Any Army Navy surplus store will have this. And then you can I have one that's super high speed, low drag, almost sets itself up kind of thing, and will cut my toenails for me, that costs 150, but it does the same thing that this does. But that's a super specific one for some specific applications. That's the cheap version. Okay, and some other shelter ideas. I'm just going to show you some other shelter ideas. When I'm in a survival situation, I just sleep outside in my gear. But I make sure that I have this for either my partner, a friend that's with me, or the kid. And this is a waterproof breathable sack. That is a compression sack, and inside we have a waterproof breathable sleeping bag cover, and we have a sleeping bag that will both keep you warm down to about 20 degrees. They make them smaller now. They have something they make them smaller so you can sleep in them that pack up to about this big. Okay, now that's called the reactor. It's made, you can get it at REI. I'm not going to spend 60 bucks on one when I already have this. But this is a sleeping bag cover, completely waterproof, breathable. I've slept in 2 inches of standing water while getting rained on in this, and was dry. I also like this particular one because if I'm out and something's screwy, people can find me. It's pretty bright. And this here has a built-in bug net that zips up, and you can crawl inside like a sleeping bag, or if there's a lot of you, you can just unzip it all the way around, and it's a blanket, so you can cover 2 or 3 people in it. So you can put one person in it, or you can put 2 or 3 people in it. So in a first aid setting, if someone's in shock, you want to put them inside. And if you want to go super cheap, a wool blanket from an Army Navy surplus store is 20 bucks. They're itchy, but they really work on keeping you warm. So if somebody's in shock in a first aid situation, and if you don't know first aid, go take a first aid class. I'd recommend taking a lifeguard course instead of first aid, Because in a lifeguard course, you learn CPR, you learn how to use something called an AED, which is if you're walking through an airport, you see these things, they're applied external defibrillators, and basically you just hook it up and it tells you exactly what to do, and if someone needs to be shocked, it shocks them. If not, it'll say, give them 2 respiratory breaths, and you just breathe for them. Or chest compressions or whatever, it'll tell you what to do. It'll teach you how to do that, it'll teach you basic first aid versus having to go to each one of those independently. And it teaches you how to pull your kid out of the water if they fall in.
Could you say the name again for that? What
This is called a bivy sack. B-I-V-Y sack. And you can get, there's hundreds of companies that make it, your choice. And this is again any kind of, I actually don't even buy these anymore. I got this one on, a friend got it for me. But really, if you know how to sew, just get an old wool blanket and sew buttons or sew a zipper on it. And you're cool, it does both the same thing. It doesn't cost anything. That's what I have my friends do. So that's shelter. Those are some shelter concepts. One more shelter thing I want to show you. Oh, and I'm running out of time, of course. Wool blanket you can. If not, I would go to a outdoor store for a bivy sack or online. This thing is 12 bucks. It's a tarp. I keep my cordage attached, and I keep it attached so it's always on there, so whenever I'm building a tent or something, I don't have to go looking for it to cut it. It's super fast to set up. One side is Mylar, and one side is colored. They make them in bright orange, and that bright orange allows somebody to find you if you're setting up a tent. Or you can put it aluminum side up. This is down if it's cold weather. This is up to the sky if it's hot weather. This is $12, and I've bought 2 of them over a period of 15 years, and this is what I sleep under when I'm camping, because I don't like sleeping in a tent. It's an all-weather tarp. Yeah. I didn't hear you.
What side did you say was up?
Silver is up. Think reflect heat. If you're cold, you want to reflect at you. If you're hot, you want to reflect away from you. Okay. So that's shelter. So the whole idea is to give you some just different ideas on how this works. So I don't run out of time. I'm going to go over an everyday carry kit. This goes with my little purse, my little man purse. Goes everywhere with me. This here is a glow-in-the-dark sheet. Costs 15 bucks. Glows in the dark. It lasts all night. Rolls up. Fits everywhere. Super tiny, and I don't have to worry about batteries. And it works when it's dark. Okay, so I like that. A wide mouth water bottle. You don't need it. I like having a wide mouth bottle for a bunch of different reasons, but as long as you have water with you, you're good. Okay. A super duper flashlight. This is actually a combat light, so this little guy will, you can't see it in here, but that's over 100 lumens, which means you burn in a hole in your retina. And it's a beveled edge, so if I end up, and it's a beveled edge on the back, so if I get in a fight, someone's got a knife, this is your friend. You can cause a lot of damage with a flashlight. One, blinding them, and then moving off to do something, scraping them on their forehead so they're bleeding so they can't see you as you run away. And it's got a clip. This is a very expensive version. I don't mess around with flashlights. This one I've had for 10 years, or 5 years. I've had this one for 5 years, and it's been to Iraq, it's been to Africa, it's been all over. $110, $150 now. Does a lot of, super important. Light, you gotta have good light. They do make, there are companies that make slightly cheaper versions that are, 40, $50 that'll work.
So do you carry the batteries with you too?
I do, yeah. I carry an extra battery because this is my short kit just getting home. Baby wipes is your friend. They do all kinds of stuff. Always have them. Costco sells them in this package, like thousands of baby wipes that last for years for 10 bucks. Not really that cheap, but you get the point. I carry 2 types of essential oil for my first aid. Lavender and tea tree, they're both antibacterial, antimicrobials. And so if you get something on you don't want on you, you can just immediately put it on you and it gets rid of it. So I make sure that goes everywhere with me. Phone, wallet, that kind of stuff. Make sure I have a spoon. Got a spoon everywhere I go.
Do the oils repel bugs?
Those tea tree sometimes can. Lavender kind of attracts them. But then if you wanted some, then you would carry some eucalyptus or what. But if I'm just, this is my everyday carry, so this is just me getting home to get to all my good stuff. This is the everyday stuff. All right. Little whistle. Okay, bag. You need to have a bag that you can just put crap in or carry stuff in. Safety pins. Safety pins are very important for people if you're doing first aid. If you do take a wilderness first aid course, if you come up on somebody and their guts are hanging out all over the place, it's called an abdominal visceration. They used to teach you to wrap it in cotton and keep it moist. Well, you lose 3 to 4 feet of bowels when you do that, no matter how moist you keep it. Well, what I do is I just pick somebody up by their skin and shake their bowels back in them, and safety pin them shut and wrap them in saran wrap. Pump them up full of antibiotics and take them to the hospital. They're going to be good like that for 36 hours, 24 to 36 hours, if you keep putting antibiotics in them. First thing they do when anybody, they put their guts back, is they pull them all out and wash them anyway. So you're not going to get anything weird in them. So I carry safety pins. The other reason I have a safety pin is somebody crushes their face, you can take their tongue, and you can safety pin it to their lip. And they get a free tongue piercing. Very nice. But it keeps their whole face from getting weird and teeth going in weird places. And that's something you'll get in a wilderness first aid course. Not something you should be doing, okay? But that's why I have safety pins. And then, of course, to keep pants up if they break.